Have you ever missed a huge move only to realize later that big money saw it coming all along? That's the edge that Unusual Whales and Optionstrat both promise. But which one actually delivers? Well, I tested both side by side to find out which one actually delivers, and one of them surprised me. I'll show you in this Optionstrat versus Unusual Whales review what that was. But before I tested out their features, before I looked too deeply, I wanted to see what other traders were saying about Unusual Whales and Optionstrat. You know, the good, the bad, and the kind of ugly complaints from real traders. Because flashy marketing is one thing, but actual user feedback is where the truth usually hides. So I started with Unusual Whales and looked at some reviews. I came across one Unusual Whale review on the Play Store from a trader who was seriously frustrated. He said the design of the recent version is a disaster. The icons are white on white and black on black. You have to touch on them indiscriminately to try to find what you're looking for. Looks like they didn't even test the interface before launch to see that it wasn't even usable with the basically invisible icons. Honestly, I can see how that would annoy any trader. We rely on, visual clarity to move quickly and differentiate things. But from what I've seen, it seems like this was tied to a specific update rollout, and it wasn't actually a permanent issue. Most users I've seen haven't reported the same problem since, so I guess I'd call that a rare glitch or a rare update issue. It's a frustration that happens not too often, not here, but it doesn't seem like a deal breaker either. On the flip side, I've seen tons of traders here who have claimed that they've become profitable since they started using Unusual Whales. One user highlighted that options are a hard thing to grasp if you don't have, any previous experience in the market, but he praised how Unusual Whales made it simple enough for newbies, giving traders all the necessary details needed for trading. Another trader shared that after 5 years, he was finally profitable every month and credited Unusual Whales for it. I mean, month-on-month profitability, that's not something you shrug off, Not everyone can reach that. I didn't stop there either. I also looked through the option strat reviews, and I wanted to see what the range of opinions there was as well. I came across this trader who praised it for being very concise and well thought out, but he pointed out that although the data spreads are accurate, the possibilities are horribly skewed if the markets are not open. But they do have a disclaimer about this. Okay, that's fair. Options modeling is always going to be a bit off outside trading hours, but at least OptionStrat posts a disclaimer. That's what I appreciate about them. They seem pretty upfront about the data limitations, so you can plan around it. When I dug deeper into the reviews, I came across a bunch of traders. Most of the traders say that they just can't do without OptionStrat. So, for example, this user highlighted that OptionStrat is his go-to platform for multiple day use. He added that it's excellent for optimizing trades, tracking them over the journey, and adjusting on the fly too. To him, it's definitely worth the subscription. And another user was hyped about how he prefers options strat over everything else he's ever used. I totally get that. Options trading can get overwhelming, but these positive reviews showed me that option strat keeps it simple enough without dumbing it down. Now, let's get into what these platforms actually do. And trust me, this is where things get interesting. So with Unusual Whales, one of the first things that jumped out at me was the insider trades feature. I could pretty much instantly see when the company insiders were buying or selling shares. And let's be honest, that can be gold for a trader. So, like, if a CEO is buying their own stock with their own money, that can be a powerful clue. If an executive buys or sells, that can show you what they're expecting, show you what's in the background, not to use exclusively, but to keep in mind. Getting there was simple. So from the main page, I tapped on flow data, then filtered down to insider trades. Boom, the data was right there, and I saw everything. I felt a lot more confident knowing that I was seeing, the same moves that the big guys, the suits, were making. Then there's the LitFlow whale feed. Look, big orders don't hide for long, and these guys track them across all public stock exchanges, NYSE, NASDAQ, and even in the thinly traded after hours. Any trade over $100,000 pops up on the feed. That's the kind of info that gives you a shot at spotting momentum before it explodes. So I used it several times to see if those big trades were backing up my own setups just to make sure I wasn't going against the momentum when I didn't want to. And when I moved over to the portfolio manager, I instantly discovered this tool to be a lifesaver as well, especially if you've got multiple brokerage accounts like I do. Instead of toggling between apps, I could see a snapshot of every position in one dashboard. I also liked that you could dig in by sector or even track what members of Congress are doing with their trades. I mean, Pelosi's trades get a lot of chatter online, and being able to follow that data directly is a total game changer. I also tested the Periscope SPX exposure tool. I'll be honest, this one took me a bit to wrap my head around, but once I understood it, it was like having a window into how market makers were positioning intraday. It wasn't just a gut check anymore. I could see how the big guys, might be hedging in real time. The market tide overview also came in handy. Sometimes I just wanted a high-level glance at the entire market mood without drilling into every stock. So that page gave me exactly that, especially if I was about to enter trades across multiple sectors. And the ticker overview tab was a nice touch. I could get a quick glance at any single ticker, including options and volume flow, without a mess of pop-ups or digging around or changing tabs. All right, let's switch gears and dive into what Optionstrat brings to the table. If you trade options, you've probably struggled to find good flow data and strategy testing tools that don't cost an arm and a leg. Optionstrat surprised me there. The unusual options flow was one of its best parts. It basically tracks what smart money is up to, scanning every trade and filtering out the noise to the best of its ability. I liked how it could even detect complex strategies like spreads and condors across multiple strikes. Most flow tools totally miss that, but OptionStrat handled them without breaking a sweat. Then there's the strategy optimizer. Honestly, this one made me rethink my trades a lot. So it let me scan thousands of trade ideas, then narrow down which ones had the best risk reward or highest chance of success. Instead of spending hours manually calculating max, loss, and profit, this did the heavy lifting for me. The options builder was the final piece of the puzzle. It showed me instantly how any strategy I built would perform depending on price moves, implied volatility, and time decay. That's huge if you're running more advanced strategies. I mean, I could actually stress test these positions instead of just blindly hoping for the best and throwing the positions out there. I've got to say, OptionStrat felt like a one-stop shop for strategy building. For retail traders like me, that's a big win because you're not jumping across half a dozen spreadsheets and guessing your Greeks. Okay, so what's the catch? Let's talk about their downsides, because nothing's perfect. For Unusual Whales, something I did feel like was a negative was potentially the sheer volume of data could get overwhelming. There's a learning curve for sure, especially if you're brand new to options flow. But once you get a hang of the interface, that depth is actually a strength. I just recommend giving yourself a bit of a learning buffer. For OptionStrat, I noticed the data can get a bit stale if you're checking while the markets are closed, but again, they're transparent about it with a disclaimer, so you know what to expect. Honestly, if you're trading during live hours, it shouldn't be a huge issue. Both of these are minor compared to the upside of having clearer trading insights and more confidence in your moves. So what about pricing? That's always the big question, right? And about that, both OptionStrat and Unusual Whales are priced fairly for what you get. They're definitely not dirt cheap, but the features easily justify the subscription if you're serious about trading options. If you're a casual investor, you might think it's a bit much, but if you want an edge, they're worth considering. Check the links in the description. I'll keep them updated with the latest pricing, promos, and special discounts for both platforms. So, after digging into both tools, here's what I'd say. If you want real-time options flow, insider trades, and tracking what the whales and Congress are doing, Unusual Whales is the move. If you're more focused on strategy building, optimizing trades, and testing ideas before you risk capital, OptionStrat is built for you. Check the links in the description for the current promos and discounts, and get started with the one that matches your trading style.